out now.
Oh.
We're going to find out right now. It's Infernal Shrines, picked by Team Freedom.
Seems like they are going to favor the first pick after dropping both games on their map choice. They're now going to say, look, we want one of those top 3. And for me, it's going to be up to Team Freedom. I'd like to see them not ban one of those heroes. I'd like to see them say, you know what, we're going to let one of these heroes through and see if they can get 2 out of those 3. It's just kind of like when you've got these all-stars and you're like, all right, you know, you can't have one, I can't have one, so we're just going to limit it. But it's like, what if I don't ban one, you ban one, I get 2 out of the 3. It's a matter of, do you feel comfortable giving up one of those, which might be, you know, the tipping point, which seems to be either ETC or Genji so far.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see the meta of that point in draft develop throughout this weekend. Starting off with not having the Genji ban, then everyone was just in agreement that if you're in second pick, you ban the Genji, and first pick gets to ban whatever they don't want to deal with. And then realizing that, hey, if we let Genji through and we know how to deal with Genji, we have the appropriate counters, then we get something good on our side. Now, Infernal Shrines, Team Freedom picking Infernal Shrines to go there. Do you give the edge to anybody for Shrines?
There's nothing that really stands out to me. It takes me back to the first time we saw D.Va, which was Nomi, I believe, at Mid-Season Brawl. This was the map where it got busted out on, and everybody's like, wait, if we tried to do this. Nasmus has a history. Maybe this kind of falls into their favor if they do try and like get things a little bit weird. We saw them play Standard that last game and in impressive fashion with both of those big-time AoE heroics that kind of countered the sound barrier. So we'll see how it plays out. And I'm really curious to see, will they keep it Standard or will they get a little weird with it?
Gale Force Esports did play on Infernal Shrines, picked by Simplicity on Friday. They ended up playing with their Johanna. They had Malthael themselves, and then had Kerrigan, the double melee assassin. Circle of Doom.
It was 2-0 with Kerrigan the other day, right? Udall was?
Yes,
I believe
he
Infernal
was.
Shrines
and Dragonshire.
And Dragonshire, yeah.
Haven't had the Kerrigan from Gale Force yet.
Yet.
Maybe it's
keyword.
Hanzo Ban from Gale Force.
I think the good thing for Freedom by picking second is that Lucio's most likely not going to be first picked by Gale Force, and that's a favorite for Collusion. We've seen him on Karazhan multiple times now, but I think in that first rotation for them with 2 picks, I wouldn't be surprised if they're okay with letting somebody through, getting Lucio, and then getting either the Genji or the ETC, just depending on what is let through. So that's a tough spot to be in right now.
Yeah, last time in this position, Gale Force did first pick Lucio, but knowing the comp that they were going into, the kind of mass shielding that they were hoping for, made sense there. Also was helping to hide things. But ETC, Genji, Lucio all up. Fury will not give up his ETC.
And Genji isn't necessarily the highest priority because he doesn't have a lot in terms of the objective race. He's still an incredibly strong hero, don't get me wrong, but I think that when it comes to the map, I think they're far more comfortable taking that ETC. They still pick up the Genji, and they do get the Lucio. So I really like where Team Freedom went with their ban on Greymane and their first 2 picks. I think this fits them perfectly.
Yeah, Genji, Greymane have been the 2 highly sought-after assassins, ranged assassins, that are being picked on either side, first or second pick, before the second ban. So now Gale Force doesn't have the one that gives a lot of the shrine clear, Greymane. They're gonna have to dig a little bit deeper in their hero pools to figure out what they want to add to that.
Yeah, mages come to mind. We've already seen Jaina, but I wonder if Biggie might be seeing something now as the drafter, knowing that he's going to be playing that carry role. Whether he might, Gul'dan is really hard. You can get the Horrify onto Genji, but you're also extremely susceptible back there unless you have really top tier support and peel. So you fall into a weird spot of, all right, we've got Greymane taken away from us. Where can we really emphasize our strengths? Will it be maybe a Kael'thas or
That's
Genji?
what I was thinking.
Or maybe we'll see the Tychus come out from their side, which, again, the built-in armor, when you have Odin, you can deal with a lot of that. You have sieging potential.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like it.
And a lot earlier of a Malthael.
Look, we don't want to ban Malthael.
Are we doing it again?
Let's
The
just-
Malthael Kerrigan?
I think that picking up the Malthael now means that you don't have to ban it. You get that strong hero. You saw what it did against you before. It does well in the race. It does well in the solo lane. It does well in the defense. Freedom's like, we're not having any of that.
We're not doing that.
And they go right back to the Abathur ban. I'm liking the counterplay. As this match evolves, we see a lot of really good, smart bans, I think, between both these teams right now.
I totally agree. The drafting between these two teams has been awesome, given that they've been able to watch all of the series before. Gale Force has played, they played on Friday, and just a lot of responding, trying to outthink the other team. Now with Genji and Lucio already, do we get Murden back again for Zugrug? Is there a Johanna for more of the wave clear, safer pick? A Nubarak as a Nubarak Genji assassin would be tough with the Tychus there, of course, and the Malthael.
I'm looking back at heroes. His top 4 last year were ETC, Stitches, Murden, and Nubarak. We haven't seen any Stitches yet. Johanna was his 5th most played, which Johanna, this is a really good map for her. Diablo was another one of his picks. So he's got a wide variety that can have a major impact, whether it's to the clear, whether it's to the team fight. There's a lot that Zugrug can do for this team. So I think no matter what they pick, it's something he's definitely going to be comfortable on. And given the Genji style, they've got a couple things they can do. That's why I don't think it'll be the Stitches style.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Johanna because Malthael, Tychus, and the blinds, but no! Diablo Ragnaros! What a fiery combination.
It's getting hot in her.
Yeah, it is.
Now we look at the APOC, potential APOC into the Sulfuris Smash combo, and then Genji following that up with the Dragon Blade. So now Gale Force is in a tough spot in terms of how they want to approach this. We saw the Concussion Mine do well against an Alex Straza Circle of Healing there. What happens when you get in that and a Sulfuris Smash comes down? So things like that fade away. I think Stukov would be a really good pickup here for Gale Force. Gives them that momentary burst depending on what talent they go. But it is a long cooldown in that burst, but it gives them the sustain. It gives them that AoE silence to kind of deal with that. It also gives them the disengage, which will inevitably be coming between the Diablo, the Genji, and the Ragnaros. So the Stukov here I'd like a lot. I don't know if he's comfortable on it. We're going to find out in just a matter of moments.
Something maybe that could give more of the disengage. Yeah, I really like that. If Diablo goes in too far and you can flailing swipe the rest away, Malthael and Tychus should be able to bring down Diablo pretty effectively. We'll get Uther instead. Uther and Sonya. Sonya Malthael. So we can't have Kerrigan Malthael. What are we going to do? We're going to get Sonya Malthael.
That's surprising to me. This falls into the category, again for me, Gilly, that Malthael has percentage clear, which is good for defense. Tychus, okay, post level 10 for defense. But when you look at this much melee, which it's technically 4 minutes. Oh, there we go.
I wondered.
There we go.
If you're going to have Diablo on Infernal Shrines, you might as well get Medivh.
Neither one of these teams, well, I guess Ragnaros technically is better than just about everybody. But the anti-siege potential of Gale Force is not good. Baiting over a first one, okay. Anything beyond the first Punisher is going to be a hard defense.
Yeah, lots of melees there.
Yeah. So that always scares me when I see these drafts. I would see like kind of the Illidan Genji style from a team like Gale Force last year, and then they would lose an objective and then they would just get steamrolled. And then you have to fight your way back. Things like that are very hard to overcome on a map like BOE and Infernal Shrines.
Medivh was a question for me for Team Freedom. They did adopt some of the Medivh play because they had Dansky, who's a stellar Medivh player. But losing Dansky, I wondered if that would still be a possibility for them, at least at the very beginning of HGC, or if eventually, if he proved to be more of a pick, if someone would have to pick him up. Looks like they're still fine to be able to play with the Medivh Wombo combo, so let's see how it works for them. Can Team Freedom, with the Leyline Seal, Apocalypse, Sulfuris Smash of Doom, win the series? Let's find out.
Gonna be a fun one with these drafts. Lots of melee on the side of Gale Force. Lots of possibility for the likes of Diablo and Ragnaros to just completely hard counter that as well as the ley line that you just mentioned. I'm just gonna say it, Freedom's draft looks really strong, Gilly.
Looks pretty scary to deal with. Terrifying for sure. We've got Yoda playing Medivh. That is really cool.
Mage style all the way.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be testing his mechanical skills here. And it's never really been about individual talent on Medivh for me. It's always been about team synergy.
Of course.
You can be the best individual Medivh player in the world, but if your team does not execute well around it, and I mean really well, the margin for error is really small.
Now, as we talk about Diablo, we haven't had a Diablo yet. in HGC North America, but he's always a niche pick, a possibility on Infernal Shrines especially because of that level 1 talent Devils do. And with the region globe changes, he will be looking to stack up those Black Soulstone stacks and then just go to town getting as many region globes as he can and have a lot of sustainability through that. It's up to the minigun, the percent damage there, the percent damage that Malthael can bring to try to chunk him down if they can. Or to try to get a different target. You know, Poison Spear, really good versus Genji if he tries to dive into the back line.
You can land that even post-nerf. It wasn't, I mean, it was significant, but it wasn't that significant to where it will have a major impact on that. But you have to land it, and that's the biggest thing. Genji's a hyper-mobile hero, and that's always going to be the name of the game.
Gale Force picking up the camp to kick things off, going into the mid to push along with that. Doing as we saw before, early camp, trying to get a lot of value out of that camp, just any sort of structural damage. You and I talked about that and how important that is on this map especially too, trying to get whatever early structural damage you can to get more out of the Punishers.
Nice little boop there by Collusion. He's like, it's a trap. And then he's like, wait, it's not a trap. He just boops himself right out of there, right to safety. And again, the prioritization for camps. So we see B-Kid holding down the top lane. That's clearly a lane that should easily go in favor of Malthael. It's just holding, because you're not pushing with that lane. It's just a matter of holding to let your team do this 4-man rotation and get control of the map elsewhere.
Yeah, having Ragnaros with the rotation, a lot of times you'll see Ragnaros be that solo laner, but if he feels like he can't stack because he's being harassed so much, then switching him over so that he is with the rest of the team rotating, you can try to baby and help set him up. Kind of similar to the stacking we saw of a certain Asmodan in one of the games yesterday, the final game yesterday. Asmod's just working to build up those stacks. He's already at 20 out of 30, so he'll be done with that very soon.
Never forget. We also see On the Rhythm making our second appearance today, as that will against the melee style, against that. It's all about getting that duration. Sometimes it's about just bursting down that one target, but when there's multiple frontliners, potentially Genji on the flank, you can switch from one to the other and get even more value out of it, more area value out of it, and then allow Sonya and Malthael to try and finish those targets off.
Well, first shrine started, Team Freedom have a lot more setting up or mobilizing around that with getting the Shaman, or getting the Cosper camp too. Gale Force got their Shaman camp, which should aid, but the collapse is coming in on Malthael with Medivh and Genji in the top lane, and they'll take him out. First blood for Team Freedom.
They're gonna get it, but they're gonna trade off the Punisher for it. You know, a lot of people, a lot of teams, first Punisher, they don't have high priority for. Ragnaros is still top, and generally you can bait over the first one, not worry about the Ragnaros using Molten Core, but it obviously is a very safe option to use Ragnaros. He's finally coming down now.
And Molten can also be used in future shrines to try to secure the Punisher. If you get to the shrine ahead of time, then using the Molten Core to more safely pick up the last few defenders might be the route that Team Freedom wants to go with this Ragnaros. It's our first Ragnaros of NA in 2018. So there's a lot of different stylings that can happen with here.
I think Michael Udall just got saved there. He got charged into a wall, and Akaface came over and got the stun onto Diablo before he could get the flip. And the ETC was mid, so they didn't have to peel. And with him going into Molten Core, he could have easily been stunned with a swing. They were very aggressive there. He's probably like, hey, thanks, man, because I'm pretty sure I was dead there. That was a lot closer than I think what we realized.
Thanking his lucky stars. Was hoping to return the favor of a gank on Collusion or Zugrug. They're just fine to retreat to the fort. That is not Master's Touch. Arcane Charge instead, getting a 30% increase on your next Arcane Rift if it damages an enemy hero.
I think that's the first I've ever seen that in competitive.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen it one other time. I think it makes a lot of sense. There's a ton of stuns, a lot of knockback between Grenade and ETC to knock back from the portal. If Medivh feels like he is not going to be able to reliably stack up Master's Touch, he just wants to be able to focus on keeping one of his other teammates alive, just going for that option.
I mean, we got 4 melee on the other team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty easy to find targets up there, and if you're splashing that damage on multiple heroes, pretty easy to consecutively hit those. So I think I'm okay with it too. It's something unique, and I think it's situational. I think this is the right situation for them to do it. Everything else so far across the board, Gilly, pretty even experience, pretty even. Nobody really taking a firm grasp outside of that one lone kill on Malthael. Pretty even so far. Level 10, going to change a lot of that.
Diabolical Momentum is the only thing I noticed different from getting Soul Shield for Team Freedom, but as we look at, there is quite a lot of the physical damage anyway. We know about Biggie being able to do a lot of damage to Diablo with his Tychus. Same with the Malthael Reaper's Mark. So in this case, having just the reduced cooldown of your Shadow Charge and Overpower more combos means more fun for Zagrug in this game.
Yeah, I think everybody gets a little bit of excitement when we see Diablo as the old Wombo combo, but it's going to be up to them to execute. Level 10 online here. Everybody locking in their heroics. ETC waiting to see. I think he's waiting. Is it Leyline? Is it not?
Right.
I think Stage Dive seems likely, but maybe if you can bait one of those out, you can get good value out of a mosh pit. He's holding on to it for now.
Well, if you get through the Wombo, that's Leyline, that's Sulfurous Smash, and that's Apocalypse all down, and then you're relying basically on...
A boop?
Yeah, a boop. So from that, if he feels like if he gets Mosh, if nothing else, stops maybe Sulfurous Smash from being added to the equation of the Wombo, maybe he feels like he can manipulate some of those abilities from Team Freedom just by picking Mosh.
Yeah, sometimes when you see the Diablo going in trying to get that, you just kind of counter-engage, and we're going to see if he pulls the trigger on that. Michael Udall falling back. Shrine activating in 15 seconds, and it's going to be a doozy up at the top because the choke points are there. The amount of exits you have in the middle and bottom, far more significant than the top, which means you only go one way, left or right, and that's down, and we'll see how they approach this.
Tano heading up. Yoda keeping eyes on Gale Force as they approach that shrine. Still no choice for ETC and Fury. All members showing up for this shrine, which means we are guaranteed a brawl of some type.
Yeah, so far, casually poking. The threat of Molten Core stealing off those. So if Team Freedom can casually poke away at this, keep it even to around the 25 mark, look for Nasmus to fall back and get the remaining of those. Fury gets flipped over, has to slide back out. There's the Arcane Rift.
Leyline.
Will we get the APOC? Here it comes, Gilly.
APOC, Sulfurous Smash, but the Divine Shield keeps Odin nice and healthy as they start to turn this back around. Fury has the zoning Moshnik, does catch Diablo on the other side as Lucio speeds on into it too. He's going to use a Fury to shove him into the tower range, at least to be able to take him down and trade out 1-for-1 on the Warriors.
Yeah, that tower definitely helped out. Now we've got Tormented Souls, but the boot back's going to keep him away from spreading that and getting that over. We're still pretty even in this. Again, it's up. It's going to be up. Molten Core coming in. It's going to try and secure this victory. It's going to do really well in zoning, stealing the Skeletal Defenders, and look at the aggression coming in from Team Freedom, knowing they can fight underneath that umbrella of the Molten Core.
Exactly, and knowing that Zagrug is back too. He was the only one that died and had all the souls necessary to get back into the game, so they're going to keep going for the fight. But Gale Force Esports are not wanting to give this up. They'll lose their Tychus. They only have 5 Skeletal Defenders left. They're going to lose more trying to take this out. Sonya goes down too. 36 defenders. B-Kid nearly down. He is brought down. Still, it's not claimed. In fact, it's claimed by Freedom. Gale Force sacrifices 5 people.
Wow.
Trying to get that shrine, and they don't get it.
Now that goes from a desperation attempt to try and finish that off. They were actually up, I think, like 35-26 towards the end there.
Right.
And they could not seal the deal. It was just one falling after the other. And in the process of them taking that damage, there was enough to steal away the remaining few. So that goes from bad to worse, and it's a hell of a lot worse, Gilly, because we're looking at a full level, almost level and a half lead, a camp being stolen from them, and the Punisher still sitting at 75%.
75%, and in 3 seconds, the Wombo combo is back up. 8 seconds until Dragon Blade to add to that. But it looks like Team Freedom instead gets a gank on B-Kid, and they are just fine with that, leaving the Punisher and the Shaman camp to their own devices in the top, splitting apart Gale Force Esports and how they can defend.
They're going to lose a keep wall. They're going to lose a fort. This is something that, oh man, they're finding them. There's the power slide over onto 3 members, but they just don't have the damage with Tychus being over there. The cleanse out. But the way this works is sometimes you think, should we get the keep? Can we get the keep with Odin on the other side defending that? So one of the things that you can do as a team is you rotate over, take a fort, set up a potential Punisher in the future. The next Punisher will not be top, so try and create opportunities elsewhere, and they still get a lot of damage on that keep.
Now the fort nearly down in the mid with a 2-level lead for Team Freedom means that for a while now, Team Freedom is going to be very busy claiming a lot of the area on this map, trying to get to 16 and then taking down some of those forts. Maybe even just heading up and taking out the keep with that 16 advantage too. There's a lot of opportunities for them.
They just their poke is pretty weak. Unless Medivh hits a hero, the Arcane Rift cooldown is pretty long. Genji kind of falls into that to where you can sit there and kind of poke away. They don't have a lot there, so it's a little bit more risky than I think with some of the other heroes. They still have a almost 2.5 level lead. They could, I just don't think that they will.
Their engage did get a lot better once they got domination, so maybe just seeing if anybody would show up to defend versus that. But they'll find some defenders elsewhere. Leyline seal goes out. Here we go.
APOC coming down, Sulfuris Smash dropping right onto Michael Udall. He's going to go down there trying to put damage onto Genji, but we've got a sound barrier and a portal away. The Wombo combo is real, and Michael Udall's health bar is not.
Lutano just slashed through Michael Udall and said, you guys got this right. Started working on it the well. Didn't even use the Dragon Blades. That is an awesome cooldown that, if necessary for Team Freedom, they still can use in team fights, even in the interim before the big Wombo combo is back up. Again, for Team Freedom, making sure that they are not overusing their heroic abilities in these crucial moments. Shrine will next be in the mid. Team Freedom rotate up through that lane, looking to push in the minion wave so that they can deal damage to that fort along with the Khazra camp there. They may even be thinking that they have more opportunities, maybe looking for a gank. Yoda's just constantly been scouting. Not having that, they're just going to get multiple camps, get the lanes going.
This is an opportunity for Gale Force. They need to try and soak as much as they possibly can. You see Sonya pushed out on the bottom lane. They might try and get that fort, get a little bit of experience, try and get that 16. They don't want to overcommit. Malthael spots a few middle, but they do not want to overcommit in the same way that we had them just moments ago. Fury trying to anchor. He's going to get flipped and dipped double time as Fury, he's going to try and slide out Arcane Rift. We don't have an APOC, but he is in a bad spot.
It still forces the Divine Shield, and look at Zagreb making sure that he's got the body block still going so we can push him back in time. With a swift strike, ETC is swiftly eliminated just as the Shrine would be activating in 15 seconds. Loved the flip and dip. That did so much damage when you look at the devastating charge. It's not even finished yet, that quest, but still knocking through with that % damage.
Yeah, I mean, we already have Diabolical Momentum, so you get the cooldown, but obviously getting that reset whenever you flip your Q again, and he was in a bad spot. I mean, that was just bouncing back and forth. And that D shield, I think, should have been saved. I don't think there's really any saving unless Fury is calling for it and saying that he has abilities to heal himself and get out. Without that, I think that was a misplay. It's a long cooldown. He would have been back in time for this. Shrine, instead, you don't have the tools. You just got 16, and you're going to be late to the party, and you give up a lot more in the process. A bit of a misplay there, I think, on that D shield.
Yeah, but being late to the party versus this Ragnaros team is also difficult because the Ragnaros, they can back off. There's only 6 skeletal defenders needed. Yoda just gives some vision from that. Nasmus can move into position. Zagreb checking out, seeing if he can flip and dip the old Fury again. Does quite a lot of damage from that. Enough that Lutano feels safe in chasing him down.
There's just no way. I mean, Team Freedom's about to take this. They don't really have to fight. They're saving Molten Core. They want to use this to push down middle and then use Molten Core where the middle fort used to be. Good call, good discipline, recognizing that opportunity. Arc, well, that just missed everybody, but Udall in trouble.
Yeah, kind of parted the seas between Gale Force Esports. No ley line for 70 seconds, but everything else is still around. Nasmus heads into the Molten Core. Philippe hits Fury.
This is a terrible spot for Gale Force. If a second keep falls, they're bad. The Rift is there. Shooting the portal is there, but they've got the stun onto Zagreb. APOC used defensively. Doesn't catch anybody. He's looking for a wet. He's like, guys, open the door here. I'm trying to get through.
You don't need to open a door when you can just create a door, which is what Yoda did. Fury wants to come back in. They want to fight this before Team Freedom gets to 20. Excellent cleanse on Fury to get him back.
Yep, mosh pit. Fury's looking for it.
Yeah, he is. There's pretty good grouping. Goes through, knocks back. Setting up for a lot of damage on Nasmus. Gale Force Esports bringing him down. Tormented Souls gets Beacon in a good spot, but the sound barrier went out at the same time. Mike falling pretty low. Defiant Shield keeping him in the fight as Lutano hoping to slash out to Freedom, uses his leap. Looks like Team Freedom are able to disengage just in time.
A lot was used there. Freedom able to get out. Catapults might get through the shields. They're still a little bit early here. Mouthail falling back. That's actually a win for Gale Force, Gilly, that they were able to keep the mid-keep alive. It feels like Freedom had a little bit of a misplay. They got a little bit desperate. When Diablo went in looking for that, he just didn't have the right type of follow-up. Forced to use APOC defensively and then had to use all the other abilities to save him to get out. And that was a bit of a misplay, I think, on Freedom's part. And Gale Force, by keeping that alive, we also see the next Shrine bot lane. They're still in this, more so than I think they should be right now.
Yeah, it seemed like Team Freedom was really anxious to get the game done. They know that they're on the potential last game. They're ahead in this game, just trying to get the quick victory to win the series. The lane line went out, so they didn't have that to follow up, lock some people down when Diablo went in. The small wall wasn't down quite fast enough, too, and Zugrug gets trapped there, has to use Apocalypse, and then everything else is just more on a disengage than an engagement. And it did set the timers opposite from each other for the Wombo combo. But Freedom wanting to get to 20 before they get back into a fight against Gale Force anyway. Just gonna wait that out, wait until they have the talent tier advantage, then try to make the end of game happen while they're on the Storm talent advantage.
Yeah, as much as Gale Force wanted to try and get a party bush going there, get a kill, try and get themselves back into this game, they had to turn their focus towards making sure not to lose any more experience. I don't think there's going to be enough time for them to get 20 before the next Shrine. They might get desperate and try and take a team fight. I don't think I'd like to see that, but Gale Force, they're in a super desperate mode. Again, with it being bottom Shrine, it means that they can bait the Punisher over to the mid-keep potentially. It's their best bet at this point to hold on to this game until 20, but it's not an easy task when you have portals coming over directly where you want to be with Medivh playing.
Yeah, and especially the heroes that Team Freedom has, 20 is an insane spike. The Dragon becomes me, you've got heroic difficulty. Medivh has a lot of different options too. Didn't get Bossa Nova, but have the increased time being able to get bonus track for more of the crossfade, and then Hellgate just increases Zugrug, his ability to make plays, bolt in, get someone, send them back out. He is ready for the engage. 20 is really good for Gale Force too. You get the big red button, longer Odin. Redemption is really good. No one can stop death. ETC and then Sonya. Lots of options for ETC, but even still, getting to 20, that is the hurdle that Gale Force is facing.
So I like what we see from Gale Force. They keep ETC in the bottom because sometimes when you see people do this, you see one team pushing the top because they desperately need XP. You instantly push out half of your team to push that lane out to empower the Punisher because there's not as much structures in the way. That's exactly what they're doing. By keeping ETC down there, it at least keeps things honest. It keeps him body soaking. But Gale Force, it looks like they're looking to Hearth back and try and respond to this.
Freedom working on tower, taking away some of the damage that can be done to the Punisher as it's brought over. Remember, it's the double melee, the very melee heavy stylings of Gale Force Esports trying to defend versus this Punisher. There's no gate to bait this over to. He's going to set up to see where he can find potentially the last ley line of the game as the Punisher marches onward.
Yeah, with everything going down there, Gale Force did not get 20. They get it baited over. They have to get it all the way to the keep to try and have some semblance of staying in this game. They don't get it over there. It's now coming over. Arcane is going down. Apox coming out.
Fury got hit, or Nasmus got hit out of the Molten Core from that, so it's not over yet with APOC and Leyline Seal both being out, and all of Gale Force Esports pretty healthy. They didn't lose anyone there. Nasmus finally gets in there. Now he gets the swing, has the smash, does hit a few, but with this B-Kid, his Tormented Souls, he's doing a lot. The swing hits again. All of the Molten Core damage brings down Uther. He's got heals if he can, but ETC falls as Lutano begins his revenge.
ETC just got obliterated by Diablo. They're continuing to take him down. The shields are down now. Michael Udall doing everything he can to stay alive, but the Punisher, the real MVP, setting up the stuns. Molten Core way too much to overcome. That's going to be Team Freedom taking this series 3-1. And Gilly, in this last game, 13 kills to 1. That is dominant fashion.
Yeah, it explains the huge lead that Team Freedom had, that Gale Force just tried to climb out of that hole the entire game. Using the Ragnaros, they did give up the first Punisher, and it seemed like they weren't getting a lot out of it. They weren't able to push anywhere else, but after that, just claiming all of the shrines, really showing why Ragnaros works so well there in many different areas. The forward outposts doing damage at the end. It's hard to deal with.
Yeah, and Team Freedom's making all the right calls there. Gale Force, they were forced to go to the top lane, trying to get back in the game with XP. The minute they showed multiple members, Team Freedom knew exactly what to do. They set it up, they took down that gate, which just let that Punisher just wreak havoc. And that was really the only thing you could do if you're Gale Force. And I think it's just a really phenomenal call by Team Freedom. Good awareness, setting up a pretty easy victory. There was a lot of skirmishing, a lot of fights there at the end, but it seemed like the inevitable end. And it worked out really well for Freedom, so good call there in the end by them.
An excellent synergy from Team Freedom. We had questions about how it would go, having Nazma switch over to the side laning, more melees played. Yoda, Lutano bringing them in. Lutano is a Genji god, apparently. Though we kind of knew that before, even when he was playing on Even in Death. He played so well. And then Yoda, setting up the team a lot with those leyline seals in the last game.
Yeah, even a little bit of a twist on that Medivh build, working out there at 7. A lot of it paid off. A lot of the execution, a lot of the practice that we've seen. You know, the Zeratul pick in both of the first 2 games didn't work out for Gale Force, didn't work out for Team Freedom. So maybe they just kind of shore up that part. Everything else about what they did looked phenomenal.
So here's what we know based on the games that have been played. We're going to take out Heroes Hearth and Tempo because they just played against each other. We don't really know where they're at, but we do know there's LFM, lost to Space Station, who lost to Simplicity, who lost to Gale Force, who lost to Freedom. So we sort of have the Tower of Skill shaping up in NA.
I don't know if you like prepared that before the show or whether you just thought about
No,
that. Like it's just like surprise.
Process of elimination.
And I'm like, I'm thinking, yeah, that's actually right. Thinking face. And it's just like, I guess that is right. We're developing a very early power rankings here within NA.
And if LFM defeats Team 12, then it'll be Team 12, LFM, Space Station, Simplicity, Gale Force, Freedom. Don't know that that's going to happen, but who knows, right? And of course, this changes weekly. Teams come in, they have different strategies. Gale Force was famous for coming in and having strategies to take out a team that it didn't seem like they'd be possible to defeat handily. They 3-0'd Tempo Storm in the first phase of last year. No one else could beat Tempo Storm, and they just beat them like that.
No Braxis this time. They had multiple opportunities to pick
true.
their map. They didn't pick Braxis this time around, which was a go-to last year. Maybe they'll fall back on some old strategies. Maybe they're hiding some things for now, recognizing it's a tough game against Freedom. Things didn't work out for them, so I'm sure they've got that in their back pocket somewhere.
All right, well, let's check in with Team Freedom and Zugrug. Congratulations, Zugrug. How has the preparation been going, getting Yoda and Lutano in and in the synergy with the team?
I mean, everything's been going great. Like scrim results, everything. I was really confident for our matches today.
Good. That's good to hear. Did you have any concerns about Gale Force having watched their series versus Simplicity, or did it only add to your confidence?
The only thing we were concerned about was maybe the Kerrigan pick. So we just banned it in the Infernal Shrines game, so we wouldn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, then they brought in the Sonya from that, but you guys were still able to overcome. Congratulations. Jay-How, you got any questions for Zugrug?
Yeah, Zugrug, you guys kept the core of your team together between you, Collusion, and Nasmus, and that's a really good core to have when you talk about support offlaner and yourself there on tank. Bringing in 2 new ranged, was there any fears that this team might not be able to live up to the same expectations you guys had last year?
Well, I played against Lutano and Yoda a lot last year, right? So I knew that they were strong players, and I was pretty confident our team would be just about as strong as last year.
And looking forward, do you think they can be stronger? Lutano's coming in. He obviously was in the open division at the early part of last year, made his way in on Even in Death. What stood out to him, and is there something that stands out about him that feels like he might be able to take you guys to the next level?
Well, Lutano, he's like a really hard worker, #1 GM player, and I think he has like good input in shot calling, drafting, all of that. So it's helped us a lot.
And speaking of your team dynamic, do you guys expect to be top 3 going in? I mean, Gale Force threw a little bit of shade at you guys in the interview the other day. You got any words back, or do you got any future plans, I guess, here in North America that you want to share with us?
I mean, I'm pretty confident we're going to be a top 3 team. I just don't know where in the top 3 yet.
Congratulations, man.
All right, so Greg, your next match next weekend will be versus Heroes Hearth Esports. We saw them face Tempo Storm. They were able to get 1 game win and then brought out the Azmodan on Volskaya. How are you feeling about that match?
I think it'll be another 3-1 victory for us. And hopefully no 30-minute games.
I could agree with that one. That was pretty fun. All right, the floor is yours for shout-outs, Greg.
Shout out to our sponsors, HyperX and Team Freedom. Shout out to my teammates for carrying me today. And shout out to all of our fans. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Congrats again. Cool, calm, collected.
He's not Glaurung or Som, we know that much, but he's a stalwart, right? He's on that front line. He doesn't have to say a lot of words. His play speaks for himself, despite him saying his team carried him. I think he plays his role really well.
Yeah.
It's not a name that we scream out a lot. I mean, he's got a lot behind him, and he's had big names, but he does a lot of things really well. His hero pool we talked about coming into the draft, play a wide variety of anything his team needs. He's a really good player, and he's a key component to why this team is going to have continued success.
Oh, yeah, he is phenomenal. Even looking at the last game, the Diablo, it's weird to think of someone that's, on more the quiet side in interviews coming in, just bodying Fury, throwing him up against walls, but he makes the plays for his team, and I'm very happy to see that the synergy is maintained for Freedom. Freedom is a team that history in Phase 1 and Phase 2, and Phase 1 of last year barely escaped the Crucible in the 6th place position, but then they did really well through the playoffs just by playing very safely and then started to bring the aggression in with Cure. So it's fantastic to see the evolution of this team continue and then look really good.